Okay, so moving on, again, I'm going to take all these layers. I'll click on the topmost one, hold shift and click on the bottommost one, and we'll select all of them, and Command G to group it into a folder. You can name this outdoors, and then I'm going to hide that, and then we have another new layer that we can mess around with some content aware stuff. So I'm going to hit Command J to duplicate it, and then I'm going to create a new layer above it. And again, I'll just repeat some of these tools. I'm going to first try the stamp tool. So I still have the stamp tool. And this, you can make the brush bigger, smaller using the bracket keys, and just like any other brush tool, you can make the edge more precise or softer by holding shift and bracket right or bracket left. I have this soft edge brush about 125 pixels, and again, if I sample from, let's say, over here, and then again, I have sample all layers, so even though I'm on this blank layer, it's sampling from the layer below it. And then if I wanted to go kind of just paint, and again, you can see the crosshair, and that kind of gets rid of that that little sprig of herbs in the front. And so I'm just hitting, actually just to show you, I've done that on a new layer, so I can turn that on and off, and you can see it's not perfect, but a very similar tool that we used earlier is the patch tool. I'm going to show you that. So again, J is where the patch tool is, but to toggle to it, I will hold Shift J until I get to the patch tool. And if you have the patch tool and there's no selection going already, you can basically just click and drag a selection, using it, and it's basically the same thing as like the lasso. So you can see I just free-handed a selection. I get it, Command D, and then again, if I click and drag, but if I hold down Option, I can, get this like points and just click along like this. And again, at any point, I can add a freehand kind of click and drag, and once I let go of that, if I'm still holding down Option, it still keeps it straight in between clicks. So now, again, I've created the selection, and when I click anywhere inside that selection and then drag over, it kind of picks different areas in here, but rather than like the clone stamp tool, after I pick an area, it will also do some content aware kind of editing around it. So again, I'm just gonna, I think over here is similar to where we use the stamp tool. I'm gonna hit Command D, and then even just to show you the difference of the stamp tool versus that content aware, I turn that on. This is what we did earlier, but now turning that off, you can see this patch tool has kind of like filled in using some other imagery that was here, but it really did a great job at patching it there so it looks natural, not showing any like hard edges or any weird kind of shapes to show you where it was edited. And again, I'll hide this also just so you could see the image before we use that. So it really does a great job at removing things. And again, that is content aware. Of course, I will just do one last one, and I'm going to hit Command J again, because, and I'll use this selection from that earlier one by holding Command and clicking on that layer. But you can also do the content aware fill, which is edit, content aware fill. And again, just, reviewing all these. And right now I last did it on auto, so it's kind of auto selecting the whole image. Again, you can see anything that's green is where it auto selected, but when I really want to control it, it doesn't do a great job here. You can see there's some kind of green and like some fuzziness in here, so I'm gonna hit custom, and again, it pops up this warning unless you click don't show again. up to you. But now I'm gonna, click and drag areas of this image where I think that it will give me a good fill without, picking up any of these other like kind of weird things going on in the image. I can pick from both sides of this even. Just areas that don't have, anything else in it. So I'm being careful to kind of give it that. And again, this isn't perfect. That selection that I picked is like maybe a little close to this edge here, so it's not really giving me the greatest kind of fill here. And actually, some of the tools we used earlier were a little bit better. But just to show you, this is just another option. And again, I'm outputting to a new layer, and then I'll hit Command D to deselect. But you can see, again, this is just another new layer that it added. And again, I can always, if I so choose, I can take the spot healing brush, Shift J to get over to it, and I can, just clean up some of these areas that I don't like with that specific selection. And then again, it does a good job at kind of doing what it needs to do to kind of clean those things up. And again, all these things. So if I go back down to that layer here with all these bits on it, I could use that spot healing brush to get rid of like any of these things that I don't like in the background. I know actually it actually looks pretty nice before taking those things out, so you don't need to. But again, it's just easy way to do that. Okay, so after this, we're going to do one last thing, and that will be it. All right, thank you.